Titus, and I'm Thomas, and this is Everyone's Bad at Magic, where we untap, upkeep, and punt. And today we're joined by our homie Jordan from the CritcalEDH crew. Jordan, would you mind introducing yourself?
I am happy to. It is the perfect tagline for the show because that is all I seem to be able to do in this format that we all find ourselves in. My name's Jordan. I'm part of CritcalEDH, which is another Colorado-based cEDH playgroup and YouTube channel. I think there's like 4 or 5 of us now, which is insane. But it's really cool to just be part of this growing community, and I'm really excited to be here with y'all.
Thank you so much for joining us. And actually, thank you so much for partnering with us because we're
100%.
jumping straight into uh, talking about the event that you guys were so gracious to run with us, the stock up coming up here April 11th and 12th. That's going to be benefiting the Colorado Artists in Recovery. This is our first foray into running an in-person event. This is going to be at the Colorado Denver Card Show. This should be a great time. It's just going to be a scaling 1K with the entire pot split between the charity and the pot. It'll be a 2-day event, and it should just be a lot of fun. We haven't really been having that many 1Ks pop lately, so it should be a good opportunity to play.
Yeah, it's interesting because we used to have the monthly 1Ks at EG, and then they decided that they don't like cEDH players anymore, which is fine. We are a particular group of human beings for sure. So it is really exciting to continue to see like the Dawn Before the Siege was awesome, the stock show, like card show at the. Also, I like am so excited about the fact that it is in and around all of the Western complex stuff. I think that's really cool and like a very Colorado thing.
Oh,
Um, Should be great.
absolutely. Yeah. If you have a free weekend, please come by. There's also another charity tournament the following weekend that we're going to be hanging out with the MTG Basics crew. I think some of you guys will be playing it as well.
I think we're planning on having everybody there because brewing in that space. So for the listeners who don't know, that event is what if every legend had partner? And you can put anybody with anybody. You can have Kinnan and Lotho, as disgusting as that is. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Uh, and I'm really excited to see what sorts of abominations people come up with for sure.
Yeah, I know what I'm playing. I think I'm going to be running Cabbage Merchant Martius.
I have thought about this deck a lot. That is disgusting. It's so good.
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
Do you have anything that you're leaning towards for the weekend?
I've toyed with a couple ideas, but I don't know if they're broken enough, sadly, for like that environment.
Okay.
I was thinking about Dargo and Rakdos just because you have the outlet like looping piece in the zone with Rakdos.
Okay.
And I love Dargo, which we're going to talk about at some point. But I also have maybe it's right. I think it's right here. The first like really shiny piece of cardboard I ever bought was the raised foil Balin.
Oh,
And so I've also
Balin's.
thought about Balin Cabbage Merchant because that one goes like super crazy. So we'll see.
Yeah, dude, that's so much card draw. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, it's nuts.
And you can also run all the oof effects in that deck too, which
Yeah,
might slow it down enough.
it's really interesting, right? Because all of the artifacts don't tap themselves; they tap into Cabbage Merchant. I think his name is Tectonic on Discord. He's top 16 in the league more than once playing Balin, and like that, it's the deck is really interesting. He does really cool stuff. So that was part of the inspiration for it.
Okay, very cool. And last but not least, Colorado has its first 10K coming up
Yeah,
this
we do.
coming June. I'm definitely excited to go and play in this. It'll be the biggest event I've personally played in, and you guys are running this with level 7 and MTG Basics as well. So y'all have been busy, so we're super excited for this.
Dude, this event is going to be nuts. We've had so many people be like, "It's this hotel can't be real, right? Like it doesn't actually look like a castle." And
Dude,
it does. That is in
driving by
fact.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You can see it from the freeway, and it's like, why does that exist? It
Dude,
looks like you should have a drawbridge.
100%. It's going to be an insane time. I am really looking forward to like I know a lot of people are looking at least at coming out here for it. I think between us, you guys, basics, all the guys in Foco on Swan Resources, like There's a lot of content creation energy in the space and just like a really strong drive to put on great events and have great tournaments. So it's going to be a good time.
Yeah. I'm super excited. And this isn't necessarily a standing event, but it bears mentioning. Your guys' monthly league has really done so much for the CDH space and growing the different ways that the meta has been evolving over the last year. I signed up for it this month. I haven't gotten any games in. I'm excited to try it out. What should I know as somebody who's new to your league getting into it?
Oh, that's a phenomenal question. I feel guilty and responsible for some of the meta shifts that we've seen because the league, I think, was like the primary culprit for the extremely degenerate turbo we saw like 4 or 5 months ago. And I don't miss that. I also am like not all that thrilled about the raw shy world we're like barreling towards.
As of recording, this was last week. You're keeping tabs. You guys
Yeah.
were talking about Heartwood Storyteller. And
Yeah.
as of today, my deck, I'm a Derevi main.
Yep.
I am undefeated when that card hits the table.
Oh yeah,
Um,
dude. Especially with Derevi. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, my deck is Smothering Tithe Thought deck right now with
Sure.
Heartwood
Yeah.
Storyteller. It's obnoxious. It's so good.
It's funny. I have been well, let me this is going to be a conversation of tangents. I can already tell, and that's okay. But let me actually answer your original question, which is like, what should you know about getting into the league? So I started playing CDH last like July, I think, and I had played in a couple tournaments and then dove like headfirst into the league. Like that was my only exposure, and I punted left, right, up, down, twice on sub day, all the things, and then eventually got to a spot where like I felt fairly comfortable. So I think the best thing you can do if you're someone who's new to CDH or newer to the league is just be like, hey y'all, I don't play a ton online, or I'm new to CDH, but I really want to learn, and I heard this is a great environment to play in. And like 99.99% of people, some of whom are like the best players in the world, will be like, they'll hang out with you after the game and talk about where you could have done things differently, or they'll walk through lines, or they'll just like, people are great. It's a really, really special place to play. And I think for anyone who's like queued on a random like table in spell table, that's usually a dumpster fire. Ours is like
Oh,
only sometimes a dumpster fire, like I don't know, 15% of the time. So that's pretty good. That's not a
yeah,
bad rate.
those are good odds.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not bad.
the Wild West is terrible.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds awesome. Thank you for that quick sell.
Yeah.
And going back, because I know you said you just started CDH, but
Mhm.
we kind of want to take this a little farther back than that, Jordan.
Sure.
Can you tell me about what got you started with Magic and what made you fall in love with the game?
Yeah, totally. So I started playing Magic just about 2 years ago, and it was one of my best friends was thinking to himself like, man, I don't like actually get to spend that much in-person time with my friends anymore. Like it happens every now and again, but for the most part, we're all doing our lives. And he knows that we're like losers who want to sink money into weird hobbies. And he was like debating between 40K and Magic. And I'm so glad he chose Magic because 40K would have been the worst thing that's ever happened to me. It started with like, oh, what was it? They were like the starter commander decks, and it was Cardur Doomscourge or whatever his name is. And they're like just bad. But I grew up in card shops playing Yu-Gi-Oh! I was like a tournament grinder of when I was like 10 or 11, back when they used to have like the brackets posted on paper sheets in auditoriums. And I would get absolutely bodied by like 40-year-olds while my parents were standing over my shoulder, making sure that like everything was safe and fine. And so immediately it scratched an itch that I didn't even know still existed. It had been like 20 years since I picked up a card game. And I was really into it. Started playing Magic with like local friends, and then started playing at game stores. I went to Wizard Chess primarily here in Denver, which is an awesome place if you're ever in town. They have pretty strictly casual commander nights, but they have commander nights every week. And then I was the jerk who was like power crept everything into like unplayable territory for my friends. but because I loved the collecting side and I loved the brewing side and seeing all the intricate interactions and all that kind of crazy stuff. And eventually I was like, okay, I've taken this to a place where like I'm no longer having fun with the play group I'm participating in. They're no longer having fun with me. I would much rather play the kind of commander that I want to play. This was right when Final Fantasy came out, was what got me to play cedh. And it was when Kefka was printed, and I had made like a what would we would now call bracket four, like very blank centric Kefka deck, whereas like turn 3 or 4, nobody had a hand left, and I can't win the game, and all these people who like just want to play Commander on Thursday nights were like not having a good time. But I was having the best time. I was like, okay, I'm where I'm supposed to be now. And so that's kind of how it started. I played a bunch of different casual stuff and inevitably got here. And then I'm a very competitively oriented person. And so once there was like a tournament meta to prescribe to, I was really into it.
So, being a Yu-Gi-Oh grinder, I'm sure that the combo-centric nature of CDH was definitely something you immediately gravitated towards.
Oh, 100%. I don't want to turn cardboard sideways and punch people. I want to just be like, here's, you're dead now for this really weird reason. And CEDH allows you to do that. It not only allows you to do it, it kind of mandates that you do it that way, unless you're playing Winota in the year of our Lord 2026, which some people are doing again. So,
Oh, it's coming back. It's so
yeah.
weird that Winota's coming back. That was
Yep.
not something I had on my bingo card.
Absolutely not. Thanks, Tim, wherever you are, for bringing that one back for us.
You know, say what you will about Tim. I know that people have different opinions of him.
Yep.
I don't know him particularly well, but that man is a brewer at his heart, and the things that he comes up with are inspiring.
Oh, dude. Yeah, no one was playing Stride Hanger Automaton in any deck, let alone in Marnius. And like, we won't go too far down this rabbit hole. Tim is the man. He is the coolest, nicest, like happiest dude who just wants to see people engage with this game in the same way that he loves to do it. And sometimes that involves a certain amount of yapping for an undisclosed period of time. But he's awesome. He's really, really great.
So you started playing with your group. You
Yep.
had to move on because you power crept and they weren't
Yep.
ready for it. That's a tale as old as time for pretty much
100%.
every
Yeah.
CDH player. You were talked about your Kefka deck, and
Yep.
if memory serves, when you started playing at level 7, you kind of exploded on the scene with that deck and did really well with it pretty early on. How did that early success color your expectations for yourself moving into CDH?
Oh man, that's a really great question. It I wish that's not the right way to say that. I wouldn't change anything. However, I think that the early success for someone who was oriented towards high standards for myself, performing at a high level, wanting to be in like the quote unquote in group made the journey a little bit harder than it needed to be, at least like emotionally, which is like a weird thing to say. Usually you're like, you want to start competing and do well. And then when you do well, you think you're going to feel good. And that kind of happens. But mostly what happens is you're like, wow, I performed well once. I need to keep performing well or everyone's going to hate me forever,
For
which
people
is
who
not
don't
true.
know, would you mind just letting people know what happened with
Sure.
your initial few runs? Because
Yeah,
I don't know if people know that story.
totally. Yeah, I went to the first tournament and I did okay. I think I was like one, and one, right? Got a win, got a draw, and lost a game.
Which is really, really good for your first CDH night.
Totally. And like, that's something I didn't know, going into it. I had zero idea, right? I'm like, Thoracle, decon question mark, like hoping that that translates to something that wins. And so I did okay. The next weekend, I ended up in top four with Austin, Jason, and Jay, and which is like the worst possible top four pod to be in as a newer player. It's like, what is okay, sure.
Yeah,
And I remember I played Jason and Swiss at that tournament, and it was a standard Colorado game. We all had like 30 cards in our hands, and I was like I knew who Jason was at that point. Like I had started following Critical and was aware that I was playing with someone who's like very, very good at the game. And Eric was seat two, and Daniel from Fort Collins was in seat one. And I'm like, I give Daniel my hand of like 30 cards. I'm like, no, bro, I can't do anything. And it's like Wish Claw, Demonic Tutor, 7 counter spells. It's like, it's everything. And I lose to Jason because that's what happens. And then after I lose to Jason, he like walks back the game state and walks me through how I could have won and nobody could have stopped me. So we get to top four. And Jason's like, hey, I'm grinding for the invitational. Can we like, would you guys be willing to split? And I'm first seed so that I can get the points to make it and qualify. And I'm like, actually, this is like my second tournament and I made it. And I like really want to play this game out. And so we like sort of played it out, except Jason turn one brain freezed Austin's Imperial Seal and was like, you guys are dead. Like, we can play this out for 2 hours, or you can just like let me win now. And I'm like, okay, that seems fair. And then I top four again next weekend with Connor, David on Magda, and Logan. And then didn't top four again for a long time. So that was kind of like bang, bang, and then nothing. But that's how I got started.
So when you say that you showed up, you came in kind of like on fire, and then you were there with the cool kids, and then it kind of felt like you petered off a little bit. I can see how that kind of set that really high bar, and then it's like this kind of sucks.
Yeah. Uh, and I didn't do myself any favors. Like Tim Dargo is an incredible deck. I think it's one of, if not the best decks in the format, probably like top five. But as a newer player, I think playing a deck that is that complicated and also Sans Blue didn't do me any favors. If I was going to hold that expectation of performing well in tournaments, so yeah, it was a tough transition.
Oh, did you? So how quickly did you transition off of Kefka?
Very. That is a problem that I have. I like to change decks a lot, but I was on Dargo. If I started playing in June or July or whenever that was, I started playing T&D in September probably. I played Wrong Side for like 2 weeks, and then I switched to T&D after that.
Oh, so we met really early on then.
Yeah, yeah, very early.
Okay. Yeah, because that I think you said that was the first week you were playing.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, that was I mean, I'm not gonna give myself flowers, but that was one of my best Terra games. Um,
Yeah.
and I retired the deck very shortly after that,
Yeah.
but I managed to. It was the only time Ragavans ever really worked out for me, and I hit a Risk 6 Tight and an Adnos that game, and it felt really good.
It's so busted, dude. When Ragavan, like 99% of the time, he does nothing but be a good little monkey who makes you a treasure. And then sometimes,
It's the best card in the game sometimes.
yep.
It's ridiculous. But since then, you say you switch decks super often, but I think you've really solidified yourself in the minds of many people as one of the Dargo players in the format. And like it or not, you are one of the faces of Dargo now.
For sure.
I mean, I get it. I love Dargo. I played a ton of Dargo Thrasios back in the day. But
Yeah.
what about the giant pirate makes you love Dargo?
It's a great, yeah. So I don't know if you probably can't see them. I have all of the like deluxe Omnibuy of Berserk in the bookshelf behind me. I am obsessed. I think it's one of the best pieces of fiction ever written that also happens to be a manga. And if you listen to Kellen talk about Dargo when he was just eating people alive all of last year, he had a friend who described the deck to him as like it's guts from Berserk. Like you get stopped and you come back. You get stopped and you come back, and that's all it does. And I was like, that's cool. And this dude seems rad. So I talked to Kellen a little bit. I joined. That was the first like I guess I was in the Kafka Discord, but the Dargo Discord is the first one I joined that I was like really active in. And I still think, as far as like deck specific discords, which I generally discourage people from, the Dargo Discord is like phenomenal. The people are great. Most of the ideas are pretty sound, and generally, like, it's just a good time. So I like Dargo because it aligns with my like weird interests from a archetypal perspective, I guess.
Okay.
But the other thing I enjoy about the deck is, or about Dargo specifically, is he is kind of like, so I've been talking to people recently, and I promise this plane will land at some point, of like the hierarchy of broken red commanders. And I think that actually Kark is the most broken, but nobody wants to deal with playing Kark. It's like it's just too much.
Dude, that's a really hot take. Rock Rack exists, and you're
I
saying
100%.
Clark's more broken?
I think on a if you read like in isolation, Kark is more broken. Like the ability that you've already lost the game if Kark is casting spells. Like it's just going to take 2 hours, but you're dead. It doesn't matter. Rograk is more broken for like what he enables from like a control shell or a speed perspective. And then Dargo is the least broken of the three. However, he is still extremely broken. Casting a 7 mana spell for 1 mana that's also a 7/5 that can just beat people to death and has all the weird synergies with like Technomancer and Sacrifice and Burnt Offering and Life's Legacy and it goes on and on. And I unfortunately didn't get to play in like the heyday of Teamer Dargo. I think I would have really liked that deck. Um, but it's just fun. It's like it's everything that you want to be doing in cEDH. It's like the most broken stuff you can imagine doing with Magic cards. And I like that like if someone is counting on their fish or their Esper Sentinel to save them, like it's far too late for them. And it's just super resilient. It's a really Dargo loops and Dargo combos are super fun.
They are ridiculous. And having to do Dargo math is an entirely different skill set that a lot of people just don't have, so they don't see it coming.
It's they. I remember playing with someone. We're really lucky that our local scene will randomly have like 3 to 4 brand new people every week now, which is super cool and really exciting. But I remember someone asking to read Dargo, and they're like, "Okay, so you're gonna like punch me for 7 a bunch?" And I'm like, "Yep, you got it, bud. Uh, that's exactly what's gonna happen." And it's one of those cards that
In
uh,
mid-range hell, that happened.
yeah, 100%. The world's greatest Tymna attacker. It gets you draw cards, you do damage, and that's the thing that people. A common misconception about Mardu Dargo is that it's like the turbo deck to end all turbo decks. Like it's just trying to jam its face off, and that's like sort of true. But the reason that that deck is so good is it's one of the best decks at winning second and it gets to grind the mid game in the exact same way that all of the value engine blue decks do. It has Tymna, it has Lotho, it has Esper, it has Tithe, and then when it's time to actually take the brakes off, so to speak, or you watch somebody else get stuffed, that deck just pushes and pushes and pushes and either wins or draws. And it's one of the reasons I love it.
Oh, completely agreed. And not to just beat this to death, but there's something so wonderful about having a mana battery in
Yes.
your command zone that is renewable. Rograk is a mana battery once.
Yep.
Dargo is a mana battery until it's over.
Yes, and that is something that I think, and that's how Kellen describes Dargo too, and I think that's the correct way of thinking about him as a piece of the deck. Is if you look at like, we'll talk about farm for a second. So if you look at farm, those commanders contribute colors and the fact that they draw cards, which is great. Those are very powerful things, but you could just as easily play Brea and get 2 flex slots back. Like you don't care about Timna and Cromwell that much. What's really unique about Dargo is so much of the deck ends up revolving around the fact that he serves as that battery. And so I think if you're coming from brewing a lot of like commander decks in casual, where you really care about synergy, you want your cards to relate to each other, and you want your commanders to matter for your game plan in a way beyond just like, yeah, they draw cards, I guess. Dargo decks are really interesting. However, you also are taking on the task then of not only understanding CEDH as a format, but also understanding Dargo math, which is like not fun. So that can be something that's really hard for people to undertake. But I think that's why we're seeing so much Dargo play, is it scratches the itch of like commander centric brewing and playing.
100%. And I couldn't help but hear Loganism from you right there,
Sure.
where Blue Farm is a deck that could be played with Breya and you get two cards
Yeah.
back. And that
Yep.
kind of just brings me to my next question.
Sure.
Really early in your CDH career, you've joined one of the premier CDH teams, and you are surrounded by, quite frankly, some of the best players, not just in America, but in the world. How's that experience been for you as somebody who's self-admittedly hyper competitive?
Yeah. It's been I'm unbelievably lucky. I am like super grateful every day, and it's hard. Like and for nobody's fault but my own. Like no, we're not sitting like in tournaments or in our group chat like you better get it together, buddy. Like you got to perform. Like no, dude. Like I am by far the hardest on myself, and anyone in the team will tell you that like if I have one fault, it is that I need to take a chill pill and just like have a good time. Um,
Yeah, I
but I
don't
think
think anybody who's ever spoken to Eric would say that
true. Yeah.
that they're getting on somebody's case about like them underperforming. They're like everybody on your team, like despite the fact that they are so immensely talented, I feel like I wouldn't say that they're self-centered, but I think that they're focusing on their own games and their own improvement and building each other up. And that's one of the things I really admire about everybody who plays on there. So for people who don't know them or who haven't played with them regularly, I think that that's something that may get missed from the outside in.
I think that's true. We got to trend on Twitter as a format this year on because we're silly. And so if you've only been exposed to us from like the rage bait on the internet, like that is one aspect of us. But I think the most important thing about Critical as a team is like, yes, we care about the format. Yes, we want to grind our faces off. Yes, we want to win. But like myself, Logan, Jason, Austin, Eric Jacks, like all of us, we're the first ones to be like, yes, here's my shiny pile of cardboard. You've expressed interest in this deck. Go have fun. Like we just want people to play the game, and we want people to play the game at a high level. And it's like, so inevitably the conversation has to go to jujitsu because it's how I frame most things. For some reason, the gym I train at in Colorado, our professor is a two-time world champion. He was the first American black belt from the Haberos, which is like a long-running jiu-jitsu family. And when you look at him, dude just looks like average retired middle school math teacher. And he is like one of the most dangerous human beings alive. He just doesn't appear that way. And his coaching style is not like sweep the leg karate kid, right? His coaching style is like he can see what you're working through and working on and be just hard enough to get you to that next level. And so I guess the reason I bring that up is that's a similarity I noticed between Logan and Jason is like a fixture of being a Colorado local or a member of Critical is like one, you're going to lose Jason. That's how things go. But two, at some point, Jason's going to walk behind you in the middle of the game, see your hand, kind of like look at you, click his tongue, and walk away. And then, and when that happens, that he sees something that you don't see and you still don't see it. And so that's something that I carry with me a lot. But I think the thing I carry with me the most is just like I get to learn from some of the best people you could possibly learn from effectively on demand, and that's really special.
I think that's fantastic. And I know exactly what you're talking about. We've both been playing with Jason, I feel like since he was maybe 17 and he was still coaching us.
So
Um,
crazy, dude.
like he's been looking at our deck lists and he'll forget about it and be like, "Oh yeah, I just made my 1,000th deck. Yours is wrong by 20 cards." It's like, "Okay, thank you."
Yeah. Well,
He doesn't mean it maliciously. It's just like he's just so analytically good.
yep. He is able to look at even like very well established meta decks. Like if you look at his, people think about Critical as a team that referred to Rogthras as a deck that continues to form at pre-con levels, which is a thing that was said. However, almost all of us play that deck. And Jason, first and foremost, like plays it for fun a lot. His list is super different from what most people are doing. And if you listen to why, uh, he will be one of the first people to like willingly give you his explanation for any card. And when you hear him break it down, even if it doesn't align with your interest or play style, you're like, I actually like can't argue with that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Um, it's great.
Taking it back to jujitsu and
Yeah.
actually maybe expanding a little bit more because jujitsu, you've done competitive bodybuilding. What other things have you taken from these really competitive things or hobbies? I don't feel like it's right
Yes.
to call them a hobby, like maybe lifestyles, but other aspects
Passions.
of your life.
Yeah.
What have you taken from
Um,
those and applied them to magic?
that's a good. Yeah, man. You guys are like you're. So brief aside, when you first sent me the doc of like, here's what we're planning on asking or talking about, and I'm like, these guys are so good at this. These questions are all awesome. Um, so man, so the thing about bodybuilding is it's especially now, like social media is weird. When I was bodybuilding, I'm not that old, but I'm gonna sound like a geezer for a second. Back in my day, we had like the bodybuilding.com forums, right? Like it was a thing. People had seen pumping iron. It was relatively popular, but now it's like Instagram influencers and TikTok and all the things have like really bred a new generation of folks that are some ways really impressive, some ways concerning, I guess. But what bodybuilding actually is doing the same thing every single day in the exact same way for years at a time. That's all it is. You eat the same 7 meals every day. You go to the same gym at the same time and do the same exercises. And you do that over and over and over again. And eventually you build some muscle. And that's all it is. And something that I really liked about bodybuilding was you have like a scorecard for how, if you're like being a good person or not. Uh,
No, no,
most of
I
the time I was like
completely, I'm
actually
picking
kind
up
of,
what you're putting down. Like that
yeah,
makes a lot of sense.
you knew when you woke up every day, like, okay, here's what I have to do to go to bed tonight and know that I accomplished what I was trying to do. And a lot of what you need to do is not think about it, shut up and do it. And I think that the way that that applies to magic is at like a fundamental level, there's like gold fishing is kind of like a thing that you can do and just show up and know that it's, I need to learn my deck and I need to understand this. But I think from like a mechanical perspective of understanding the game and understanding how your deck fits into it and all of those things, it's just a matter of showing up one day after another and continuing to put in the work and do the things. And one thing that bodybuilding taught me that I don't know that anything else will ever give me is like nobody cares when you're like eating 6 meals of fish and broccoli a day and starving yourself like intentionally. Like no one cares. You feel terrible, but your life still demands that you show up in the same way that you're expected to. In a tournament in Magic, nobody cares if you punt. Nobody cares if you misplay. Nobody like no one else cares if you win or lose. That's on you. That's your thing to carry and to show up no matter what's happening. And so it taught me this ability to kind of compartmentalize things in a certain way, which is like not healthy. And I wouldn't encourage people to adopt that mentality, but it can be useful.
I
So,
mean, go ahead.
go ahead, Thomas. I'll go after.
I was just gonna say, I mean, you did win Mr. Colorado,
That
so
was a thing that happened.
it paid off to a certain extent. People did care.
It's funny. So I got really sick after that happened. I got what is called acute viral myocarditis. It's basically like the flu for your heart. I won't have too much of a disclaimer here, but like drugs are bad, kids. Okay, like don't do that. But after that happened, I realized that like this was not a direction I wanted to keep taking my life in. And all that's to say, that's still like one of the proudest accomplishments I have in my life is like there was a moment getting ready for that show, like 2 or 3 months or 2 or 3 weeks beforehand, I guess. And at this point, I was eating, that's not an exaggeration, I was eating tilapia 6 times a day with like green beans. That was like my whole diet. And I was cooking the tilapia with, and I'm really sorry to tell people that this is a thing that people do, with Splenda and cinnamon, because it like kind of tastes sweet in a weird, disgusting way. And I was like on death's door, kind of, I exaggerating. And I texted my coach. I'm like, bro, I can't do this anymore. Like, oh my God, everything's awful. How am I supposed to keep going? And he's like, I don't know, dude, you can just quit. It's like, no one's making you do this. It's fine. Give up if you want. And I was like, nope, no shot. I'm not giving anyone, including myself, the ammo in the future of like, oh, he could have done this and he gave up. And that still carries over in good ways and in less good ways.
Yeah, I know that we're going to get to your question here in a second, Titus, but I have to plug your videos on your old YouTube channel,
Thanks.
Jordan, your bodybuilding videos on there and your videos about steroid use were just fantastic.
I really appreciate
Absolutely binged them, could not stop watching them. Heavily recommend that if anybody's interested in fitness, that they check them out. I'm at the beginning of a fitness journey.
it.
I'm
Awesome.
trying to hit the 1,000 pound club this year, and uh, yeah, no, I loved them. So
That
please,
means a lot.
Titus, go
Thank you.
ahead.
Well, before that question, to also speak on the videos as well, you get a bit of everything. It's educational, get knowledge into health and wellness and the effects of certain stuff. But also it goes into, you do a bit of traveling as well, breakdowns on some places, and cooking,
Yeah.
which I believe Okiadon, did I say it right or
Oh yeah.
wrong?
Oh yeah.
One
Perdon.
of your
Yeah.
favorite one of your
Yeah.
favorite meals.
Yeah. You guys are awesome. Yeah.
So yeah, if you do a breakdown into all that, and I think it's worth giving it a look.
Yeah. I
Um,
appreciate that.
but a lot of what I hear, it sounds like a lot of self-reflection, right? Everything you do, you have to go and do it. That's a part of the process. You're still taking away something from it. When you're going to the gym, sure, you can look at it as just lifting heavy things, right? But at the same time, you're thinking about which muscles you're working out. Are you overworking out your muscles? Are you pushing yourself too hard? Are you not pushing yourself enough? And the same thing within magic too. I mean, anything that we do, you can look at it as like, did I make a misplay here? What was I influenced by? And the other thing to take away from that is like the aspects of community, instructors, people that are willing to point out things or push us. It's not always negative criticism. There is constructive criticism. So
Yeah.
it's like, hey, why are you playing this card? And then it's looking at the intentionality of why you're playing this versus something else. That's just what I hear is a lot of like growth over time.
Yeah. I've been really lucky to meet a lot of really great teachers in my life. And I had a mentor through most of my early 20s who always he focused on a couple of things, but primarily two things. Whenever we were talking through like an quote unquote issue or something I was struggling with, he was like, I don't know, bro, how does it feel? If it feels bad, maybe you should listen to that. And that's not to say like there are valid and important reasons for things to feel less than pleasurable or less than good in our lives. But if you are consciously choosing to enter into something that repetitiously feels like out of alignment or like a negative experience for you, all that is information for you to do whatever you'd like with. And I think that's a really important thing to do as people, is reflect on kind of how we're relating to situations that we find ourselves in. So we would talk about, how do things feel a lot. And then we talked a lot about like the stories that we tell ourselves about situations that we find ourselves in. And without getting too meta, because this is like sort of a podcast about magic, but magic is kind of about everything in a weird way. like, or at least to the people who care about it, it is whatever you're doing. Like if you get a ticket, you parked your car and you knew at the time that you were parking your car illegally, like you didn't put money in the meter or whatever. Most people will come back to that ticket and be like, I can't believe that parking meter person didn't have anything better to do than give me a ticket. Wow, they just wanted to ruin my day, blah, 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 right? Like, it's a story. None of that's true. I am the one who made the decision to engage with that or not engage with that. And now the outcomes of that are on me. And so I think learning how to navigate, and I'll frame it from the perspective of Magic, like especially in a multiplayer format where, yes, we're playing 100 card singleton, so there's a lot of variance in our decks to begin with. There's also the variance of the human element of what's happening at the table, which is like the most chaotic aspect of it all, because people are people and people make weird choices. It's really important, in my opinion, to look at situations within a game to reflect on, how did I influence that? How did I respond in a way that caused them to feel that way or caused that game action to happen? Or what could I have done differently to navigate that towards an outcome that was more beneficial towards me? So all that's to say, like, I think that reflecting on the choices we make and the outcomes of those choices is a really important thing to do.
One of the things that the Critical team has done a really good job from a content perspective of is it seems that while everybody participates in keeping tabs, outside of that, it feels like each of you has your own niche that you participate in. And more so than anyone else, it feels like you've fallen into the role of interviewing people, something that we're trying to do as well. Um, but one of the things that I've talked to you about this off of camera, but that I really have admired about your interviewing skills is that you do a really good job of telling the narrative of where somebody is
Hmm.
um, in the moment. Is that a
Sure.
conscious decision, or is it something that's kind of happened organically?
I think maybe it's just because I like lack object permanence. And so like they are just like a human being in their present form. But I think what it actually is like people, I was not expecting this to be such a meta conversation, so forgive me. But
Sorry about that, bud.
people are who they are right now, not by accident. And so I think by focusing on who people are or how they're expressing themselves in the present moment, you usually end up getting a lot of information about how they ended up in that place, because that's just a natural extension of them. And I don't know, I people are complicated and we've all gone through stuff. Um, and I'm usually more intrigued by how a person presents themselves now, and how their previous decisions led up to that than I am anything else.
Okay. And have you done interviews in the past, or is this kind of a new thing for you? Because it feels
New
like
thing.
you've done this. Like this does not seem like something you're new at.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I think that what it comes from is that same mentor I mentioned. Like I met with him every week for 5 or 6 years, and it was him asking me questions and just like listening to what I had to say about it. And it mattered to me a lot. It was like really, really important to me and really helpful. And so now I just like, I think I picked up a lot from that experience. And people are like really, really awesome. Like generally speaking, I think most people most of the time are really great. And it's just cool to get to hear what they have to say. Even if I don't agree with it, doesn't really matter. So it's easy because it's something I enjoy.
Okay. I love that.
Yeah, Jordan. So we've seen you just try out a bunch of different decks lately, and it feels like, is that something that you're still going to be looking into different things as they come? So something that like kind of popped in my head, maybe it was from an advertisement, is the U2. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. I feel like there are
Sure,
definitely
yeah.
some players that keep looking for the next thing that will click with them. And right now you're on TNT, correct?
Yep.
So what is your goal moving forward for like Magic CDH and just even what you're currently playing?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. So my goal is I don't think I'm going to make the invitational this year, but I have kind of the same goal that Austin had last year, which is like I want to be in the top 1 to 200, like invitational point wise, and at least make the statement of like, hey, I'm here, I'm playing at a level that like will get me there eventually. Which then naturally leads you to the question, why would you pick a terrible deck like TNT to make that happen? Uh, and
Nah, dude. The Exodia is the best combo, and I will fight anyone on
oh,
that.
dude, it's when TNT does the thing, it's disgusting. Like you can't really stop it. It's extremely powerful, and it's just fun. It gets to do. So the reason I'm playing TNT, I guess, is I played Grixis good stuff, which is fine. It's not like a playstyle I particularly enjoy. Then I played Rongsai, and I enjoy Control a lot. I think it's a really interesting archetype. Then I played Timna Dargo. Then I played Jun Dargo. And then I played very briefly Rogthras, Farm, Tevthras, and then TNT. So kind of all bounced around in there. And TNT combines what I like from all of those decks. It has commander-centric functionality, and then almost every win con revolves around Infinite Mana and Thrasios. It still leverages Timna because the deck poops out rectangles. Like it just makes Timna attackers. And you're leveraging that for Timna draws, and then you get to play basically every card I love except for Breach. That's like the only thing it doesn't get to do. And as far as like, is that a deck I'm sticking with? I don't know, but it's the first deck in a long time I don't really want to change off of. And I think something that's really fun about TNT is you can have Exodia, right? Like you can have Tithe, Timna, Lotho, Rhystic Study, you can have everything. And then you're still just drawing like 2 dorks and 5 lands, and you're like, why am I doing this to myself? But like kind of trying to beat that is really addicting in a weird way. In a way that Farm doesn't. Like Farm, you draw 10 cards, like okay, you guys are gonna lose. The game's over. So it has the card quality that Farm offers in a lot of ways, but it doesn't feel as free as a lot of games on Farm feel. And I don't. I like even games that I win to feel like I earned winning them, and I don't always feel that way on Farm. Which is weird, but yeah.
I get it. Um, I'm a fringe player
Yeah.
at heart. I have my games on Kinnan. I don't have my games on Farm that I should have, but I keep going back to playing like Derevi because I enjoy that more than Kinnan, even though my win rate's way higher on that deck.
Yep.
Just to piggyback on that question though, do you see yourself trying to get your 10,000 hours in on a single deck? Because you clearly have dedicated yourself to several other things where you've put your 10,000 hours in to get to the highest levels. And you know that sticking with a single deck would probably get you there.
Oh, 100%. I know that the like quote unquote right answer is to just play Farm and deal with it. I mean, I can't even really say that. I played one game on Kinnan. I borrowed Logan's when he and I were at Breach together, and just like cooked them. And I was like, oh, this is broken, dude. Like this deck is so stupid.
Yeah.
And it kind of does everything that I want to do. But I think that I would like to be known as someone who's kind of a deck specialist. I'm kind of known about for Dargo stuff, but other people who play Dargo are like way better at it than me. I just think he's awesome. And so like I like to talk about it, and I like want more people to play that archetype. For me, I think the best deck to play would be honestly, it's probably Rog Ishai. Like I'm a control player at heart. I play that really well, and I mostly enjoy playing it. But I think, especially for someone who's newer to the format, there is a lot of value in changing decks and like understanding what you're losing to and how. And it's really funny now whenever I sit down in a pod with Tim Dargo, they're like, oh, I'm cooked. Jordan's here. And it's like, not because I'm doing anything. It's just like, you guys can't let this happen.
Yeah.
Like, this is where we die.
Mhm.
And so I think there's a lot of value in that experience.
Awesome. Well, Jordan, one of my favorite things that we always ask somebody who comes on here
Yep.
is there a pivotal punt that you have experienced in your career so far that you've learned something from and maybe have a funny story about?
Oh, 100%. I love that this is a question. Uh, yeah, yeah, I have one that like I still think about. And I was playing with, I wasn't part of Critical yet. This was like right before Logan asked if I was interested, probably the week before. And I was in a pod with Jax, Eric, and Justin, I think. And Eric was still playing Lumra, and I was playing wrong side. Jax was also playing wrong side. And Eric cast a Summoner's Pact. And I'm like, what does that card do? And he's like, oh, it tutors a creature to hand. I'm like, that seems sick. I'm going to commandeer that in Grixis. And the unfortunate thing about Summoner's Pact is it says find a green creature and in your upkeep, pay 2 green and 2 generic mana, or you die. So that happened. And thankfully, for some reason, I had 2 treasures. So I was able to successfully pay the upkeep trigger of 2 green. And so I went down commandeer and 2 other pieces to commandeer a summoner's pact to narrowly avoid dying to my upkeep trigger. And that is by far the worst thing I've ever done in Magic. And it is something that I will. So all that's to say is if you think you've made a bad mistake in Magic, I promise you it's not that bad.
Oh my God, what'd you learn from it?
I learned that if someone's playing a card in Japanese, to ask for the exact Oracle text before you do anything. I also learned that if Lumra is casting a spell, I don't want control of that spell most of the time.
Oh, that's so good.
It was I like oh man I crashed out so hard, not at anyone. I was like single tear rolling down my cheek. Like, oh, that is the worst mistake I could have possibly made. So yeah, we'll never forget that one. We'll hopefully never make that mistake again.
Oh,
But that was a fun one.
oh man, you just reminded me of a card that I want to make work so badly
Sure, yeah.
in CDH. Have you ever heard of a card called Hive Mind?
No.
Oh, Thomas.
It's a blue enchantment for 5 and a blue. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, each other player copies that spell. Each of those players may choose a new target for his or her copy.
Oh my God, it's Heartwood Storyteller, but like so much worse.
You hear to hear, let's go.
So when you cast your Summoner's Pact,
Yeah,
everybody casts a Summoner's Pact, and then their
that's
triggers
so
resolve
funny.
first. When you cast your Pact of Negation, their triggers resolve before yours do.
Oh no, bro.
This is not good.
No, but it is a thing that you could do.
It is a thing that could technically happen in a game.
Yeah, your win con being everyone else dying to their upkeep triggers is hilarious.
I mean, it could be a lobby con deck. I'm just
Be a
saying.
lobby con deck. Uh,
Somebody's gonna seriously try this now.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I am getting a lot of DMs about Heartwood Storyteller now, and I'm like, please, please don't play that card. Like, I think the card is fine, but I think like 95% of people are going to find themselves in really unfortunate situations because of that card, and you have to learn the hard way. That's okay.
undefeated in games that it is
I know.
resolved.
Yeah, you've been cooking
I'm
people.
feeling really good with that
Yep.
card right now, and I have been running it for probably 2 or 3 weeks. It's only come up twice, but
Yep.
it's felt really, really good. Um,
If you can navigate that type of game,
yeah.
very good.
But I'm
Uh,
running 22 pieces of interaction.
yep.
I'm playing like 4 copies of Smothering Tithe. Like
Yeah.
my deck's designed for it. Like you can't
Yep.
just throw it into any deck.
100%. Yeah.
Anyway, Jordan, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us.
Okay.
And I want to thank you personally, but I also want to thank the entire Critical team. You guys have
Yeah.
been so supportive of not just our channel, but of the stock up, and I'm really grateful for that. The charity that we're raising money from is really personally important to me. I know I told you this story, but my partner is coming up on 9 years of sobriety. So
Amazing.
being able to do something for the sober community when magic is all about the gathering means
Yeah.
a ton to us.
Yep.
And I just it's you guys have all been so unbelievably kind and supportive, and you're always so welcoming to new players in the scene. CritcalEDH embodies what we believe that CDH players should be. So can't glaze you guys enough.
Thank you very much. We are lucky to get to play with people like yourselves, and I am unbelievably grateful and honored to be here with you guys tonight. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I had a blast. Before we bounce, is there anything you'd like to plug?
Come hang out at Siege. Come out, hang out at Stock Up. Come play in the league. CEDH is amazing. No matter what Twitter tells you, it's the most fun way to play Magic. And yeah, I am. My DMs are always open, and that's a policy I should probably change. But I love talking to people. So come hang out, come ask me questions, and just spread the love.
Oh
Hold
yeah.
on. Do you still have that keyboard?
Oh yeah, yeah, I do.
Got one more plug.
I still have the keyboard. So one last story. I promise I'm almost done talking. I made a review about the Happy Hacking keyboard. It's a Japanese keyboard company that uses a weird type of switch that they're the only company that has the patents to use. It's really cool. They're great. And on the note of feeling too much pressure from high performance or whatever, they wanted to do a video with me about their new keyboard. So they sent it to me, and I'm like, this is amazing. My dream is coming true. And that was the last video I ever made because I couldn't deal with the pressure of people having expectations from me about their keyboard. So careful what you ask for because sometimes it comes true and then you're sad about it, I guess. But yes, the keyboard's great. Go buy one.
Dude, you're awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out.
Yeah, dude,
And
thanks for having me.
everyone, if you stayed with us this long, please consider giving this episode a like, follow, or subscribe below, and comment depending on how you found us. Check out our Discord or socials in the links below. And if you're interested in one of our playmats with the design over that way from our homie Fox Tattoos, let us know. We'll consider printing some out. Anyway, be kind to yourselves, be kind to each other. It's just a game.